Hey everybody, so before I start talking about adhesive bandages, I wanted to talk about this little drawing challenge that I gave to myself the other day. I'm still a little bit dizzy from spinning around if I'm talking weird. But I got this word generator app. It's called Word Draw. I'm not sponsored by this app, I just found it on the App Store and I thought it was really cool. What it does is it just gives you random words if you go through it. And what I did is I just did 3 random words and then I drew a picture based on those 3 random words. The other night I had this idea basically to just get my creative juices flowing because I'm always just taking in everybody else's tattoo ideas and their inspiration, and I feel like sometimes I have a hard time actually getting out my inspiration, and sometimes I feel very artistically stuck. So the other night I was looking for something to do and I found this word generator app, and I'm gonna put in like a 30-second time lapse of me drawing it in Procreate, and the rest of the video will start of me talking about adhesive bandages. But I thought this was a cool idea for tattoo artists, artists in general, just to get your juices flowing maybe in the morning, take 10 minutes, pick 3 random words and maybe my landlord's hammering downstairs. I don't know if you could hear that. But I thought it would be a really cool exercise for artists to just, go on this app, pick a couple different words, and make up a goofy drawing or something like that just to get your juices flowing in your brain. So yeah, try it out, don't try it out, whatever. This is what I drew. Alright, so before I start talking about adhesive bandages and how to apply them, I want to show you a little trick that I have started to use to save time before I put the bandage on after I've tattooed my client. A lot of times I would spend, a couple minutes trying to figure out how big the piece is that I want to put onto their skin. And if I got too big of a piece, I have learned that it's really very difficult to get adhesion without bubbles. So doing this little trick will help you in the long run. It'll make your process faster and it'll make application of these adhesive bandages a lot smoother. So once you get a new box in, it comes in this like plastic protective layer. So just like I pre-rip my paper towels before every tattoo, and I actually started pre-ripping like whole packs of paper towels recently to save a lot of time, and I just have like a giant pile of paper towels in my little storage closet. I started doing the same thing with these bandages to save time while I'm wrapping up my client after their tattoo. So I have 2 different boxes. The one box I keep all of my large size pre-cut bandages in, and then during the bandaging process sometimes you have to trim some stuff, and I basically have just like a random small bandage box too that I keep, so then that way I can have the big ones in here that are full size, then I have the small ones in here that I can use for like patchwork basically. So now what I'll do is get my snippers and just go through the whole roll and cut them. I usually do them in like 4 or 5 inch wide strips. It's not exact every time, but basically this wide. Now the reason I do them this wide and not like a huge long strip is because when you're putting the bandage on and you have a giant piece of a bandage and it starts to kind of wrap around an area of the body, it will start to crinkle, and then you'll get bubbles, and then the blood, when it's puddling up underneath here, it'll just leak down through the crinkle and the bubble out of the bandage, and then the bandage is basically not effective because they'll have to take it off because it's leaking. So I like to put them in smaller strips like this because when you put them on, you're able to overlap them, and I find that the bandage is much more successful when you have smaller strips like this. Alright, now that my forearm is very sore from cutting all of those, and my first grade teacher is really proud of me that I was able to use my scissor skills, I'll put all these in the box for later. So next time I'm done tattooing, I just open the box and it's ready to go. And my extra couple random little pieces go in my little box. All the way up until about 2 years ago, anytime that I would tattoo somebody or I got tattooed, it would just get wrapped up in saran wrap, taped up, and that was it. Now we have brands like Saniderm and Derm Shield to make the healing process easier. Saniderm and Derm Shield are the only 2 brands like this that I have used. I know that there's a lot of other brands out there. I started off with Saniderm because that is kind of like the big name in tattooing when it comes to these kind of bandages. But one time I ended up getting the Derm Shield because the website was all out of Saniderm, and I actually really like Recovery Derm Shield better. Saniderm has more of a rigid kind of texture. So say the tattoo like wraps around the arm, and you're trying to put it on without it crinkling up, it's a lot harder to get it on smoothly than Derm Shield. Derm Shield has more of like a rubbery kind of construction, so it's like a lot easier to conform to the body. You can even hear it. This doesn't make any sounds. This is more crinkly. I'm not saying that Saniderm is bad at all. It's a really good product. I'm just saying that Derm Shield, I think it sticks better for longer and it's easier to apply. So that's why I made the switch from Saniderm to Derm Shield. If they were out of Derm Shield and they only had Saniderm, I wouldn't be really that upset. I'd still buy it, but Derm Shield for the win on this one. And no, they are not paying me to say that. All right, so I am sitting at home editing this video like 2 days later after I shot it, and I realized that I didn't even explain the whole point to these bandages besides keeping the tattoo clean. What it does is it traps all the blood and plasma that leaks out of your tattoo, and instead of just washing it away or it just, you know, rubbing up against your clothes, what it does is it traps it up against your tattoo, and all those good healing cells, they are doing their job instead of just being washed away. So not only do these adhesive bandages protect the tattoo, it makes the tattoo heal faster because all those healing cells are actually healing instead of, you know, not being on your skin. So yeah, now back to the video. Now, the really cool thing about these bandages is that it can stay on for the entirety of the actual tattoo healing process. I don't mean the same bandage, I mean that you're able to change them a couple times so that it can stay for the duration. I've heard a lot of tattoo artists say, you know, just leave it on until it falls off, which is not true. It says just on the back of the packages that you leave the first bandage on for 24 hours, you take it off, wash it really well, then you can put a second bandage on for up to 4 days. After that, you can take it off, wash it again, and leave another bandage on for 4 or 5 days until the tattoo is completely healed. Now, this gives me a lot of peace of mind when it comes to clients that are not the most cleanly, or people that I know work in a dirty environment like a warehouse or a hospital, where I feel they need a little bit extra protection. Most people, I just give them the first bandage, I say, you know, take it off after 24 hours, wash it, and take care of it like a normal tattoo after that. But there is a small amount of people that I do give 2 or 3 more bandages to make sure that that tattoo stays protected due to whatever they do for a job. So it's really nice knowing that I don't have somebody walking around with a fresh tattoo that doesn't wash it for a couple days or whatever. I just need to know that they wash it one time in between changing the bandage, and I feel good about that. These bandages really cut down on the chances of somebody getting an infection, which is really a load off my chest, knowing that all the hard work that I just put in and the pain that the client went through isn't gonna all be in vain because somebody decides to not wash their tattoo and get it infected. So I forgot to film an outro to this video, so I'm doing this voiceover to explain to you what I'm doing. Right now I am wiping down the skin with a dry paper towel to make sure that all of the blood and green soap is removed from the skin so the bandage can properly stick. It will not stick to wet skin. So handling the bandage by the edges, I put down the bandage basically starting from the middle and then pushing out. By doing this, you will avoid bubbles, and you basically press firmly and it will completely stick all the way around. And then you peel that top layer off, and then usually I'll press one more time to make sure that it's completely sealed on there. This tattoo, I am doing a multiple bandage situation because it does wrap all the way around her arm. So it's basically like a little puzzle. You make sure to overlap the bandages so then that way none of the blood or plasma that gets trapped underneath the bandage will leak out. It's really important to have enough bandage going past the tattoo. So that's what I'm doing right now, is checking and making sure that I have enough coverage around the tattoo so that any blood or plasma that does go underneath the bandage, it is stuck underneath the bandage and it doesn't leak out. Now, definitely make sure that you wear gloves during this process. I see a lot of people not wearing gloves. I'm not really sure why you're still handling someone's open wound. That has to do with blood and bodily fluids. So make sure to wear gloves and be safe. And this last piece is basically to patch up this one little spot by the wrist to make sure that the bandage didn't come up during the healing process at all. I always like to warn my clients that there might be puddling underneath the bandage because it is clear and you obviously will bleed after a tattoo. So the bandage will hold any blood or plasma that comes out, and sometimes it basically forms a giant puddle and you won't be able to see your tattoo. So make sure to warn your clients about that. But overall, I think that these bandages are a really big, important part of the tattoo healing process nowadays. I've always had a really good experience with them. Make sure to read the back of the box, depending on the brand that you get. Even if you do get the 2 brands that I mentioned in this video, make sure to read the directions thoroughly and to follow them because you will get the best results. I hope this video helped you. If you do have any comments or concerns, make sure to comment down below and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching and have a good day.